The Cleveland Cavaliers currently have the best record in the NBA. They're debatably the best team in the NBA. They have the third best odds to win the NBA Finals, yet they are probably the most underrated team in the league, which is crazy. Now, it's understandable because who the hell wants to talk about Cleveland, okay? It's Cleveland. Not much happens there, not much good happens there. It's literally nicknamed the Factory of Sadness. But the Cleveland Cavaliers this year are defying all the odds, and they are looking very good. And in my opinion, they legitimately have an argument to say that they should win the NBA Finals this season. And in line with how underrated their season has been so far, I think they pulled off one of the most underrated moves at this year's trade deadline. Now, look, it's not a headliner move. Like, it's not the Luka Doncic trade. It's not the Jimmy Butler trade. It's not the PJ Tucker to the Miami Heat trade. But I would say it's still a pretty damn good trade. The last one was a joke, if you didn't know. Just letting you know. But I think that the trade for DeAndre Hunter is legitimately probably one of the most underrated moves this entire deadline, and literally no one is talking about it, despite it being a perfect trade for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Like, outside of trading for some type of superstar to fill in that hole, there was really nothing better they could have done, and like I said, literally no one talks about it at all. Like, I have seen not a video, not a damn media thing, not a Stephen A. Smith clip, nothing. Like, literally, absolutely silence. Crickets when it comes to this trade. Yet, I think, like I said, is probably one of the most impactful in the entire deadline that went down. And since no one talked about it, I want to be the guy who talks about it, okay? And I'm going to just break down the trade package itself. The first part of it was the Cleveland Cavaliers just got DeAndre Hunter. That's all they got, but it was a great get. While the Atlanta Hawks got Caris LeVert, Gorgeous Niang, 3 second-round picks, and 2 pick swaps in 2026 and in 2028. And that was the entire trade. There was no third team involved like a lot of them. It wasn't complicated. But yet, despite it not being complicated, despite there not being that many pieces moving around and no really huge names getting moved around, I think this trade was probably one of the best that went down at the entire deadline. And why do I think it is? Because it's going to be so impactful for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Not so much for the Atlanta Hawks. I don't know why the Atlanta Hawks honestly did this, to be honest. But I think for the Cavs, this was an amazing trade. And to fully understand why this is such an impactful trade, is you have to kind of know the history of the Cleveland Cavaliers basically since they've acquired Donovan Mitchell. Okay, so since they've acquired the big four of Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, and Jarrett Allen, they've always been a very good four quadruplet. I don't know if that's the word. I don't know what else you would call that. It's not a duo, obviously. It's a collection of duos, so I guess you would call it a quadruplet. Anyway, but the ever since they've acquired this big four, they've always had a weird small four. Like, they've always had a pretty big gaping hole there. Like, it's been a black hole for a long time, and they've tried many different things to fill in this black hole for the small forward position. They tried Caris LeVert, Cedi Osman, Isaac Okoro, Max Strus, Sam Merrill, and even a rookie Jalen Tyson this season, who, I mean, although hasn't played too much, they did draft him for the long term to try to fill in this hole, yet none of them were really as effective as probably the Cavs would have liked them to be, and they just continuously were having a revolving door there, just trying to fill this hole the best that they could. But despite their immense struggles to fill this hole in the past, finally, at the 2025 NBA trade deadline, in the sky, a bright light appeared, a shooting star with the face of DeAndre Hunter on top of it. Finally, an option to fill this hole, and they have been able to do it, and they added him without really getting rid of anything too impactful. Yes, they had to get rid of Caris LeVert, who was a pretty good guy off their bench, but to fill in this small forward hole that they've been trying to fill for years at this point, I think it was very much worth it. And then Niang was okay, but you can replace Niang's production, and the second round picks aren't too valuable, and the pick swaps probably won't be that valuable either. So they were able to get a legitimate, usable player at the small forward position, who's not just usable, but a very high level scorer who can give you around 20 points per game and is a very solid defender on extremely good efficiency. And you just probably acquired the best fourth option in the entire NBA in DeAndre Hunter. And I think he is going to fit perfectly alongside what they already have on this roster. And to really show you how impactful I think it's going to be, let's just break down their new roster as a whole. So the backcourt has not changed at all. They still have Donovan Mitchell and they still have Darius Garland. Obviously, we know how good both of these players are. Donovan Mitchell is a borderline superstar level player, can literally score with the best of them, good athlete, can play defense when he needs to, just an all-around very solid player. And Darius Garland continues to be one of the more underrated guards in the entire league, can give you about 23 points per game any given night, as a very solid defender, a very underrated facilitator as well, and just really their backcourt duo is probably top 5 in the entire NBA at the current moment. And now for their front court has also been very solid when it comes to their power forward and center positions, as they have the duo of Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen. And I think them two are probably one of the best two center power forward duos in the entire league as well, because Mobley is one of the most versatile defenders in the NBA, can give you about 18 points per game any night, he can spread the floor, it's just all around a budding, potentially superstar in this league due to how much versatility he brings and due to his offensive potential as well as a 6'11", I think 11 big man as well. So he is a very, very solid defender, actually very amazing defender, should I say, on top of being a guy who can give you 18 points per game efficiently, and his three-point shot has come a long way as well, especially in the terms of efficiency. So for sure, he has tons of potential and is only improving as time goes on. And then Jarrett Allen is kind of the more conventional big man, athletic, can block shots, grab rebounds, but he's also not bad offensively either, and he can give you around 15 a night too, and he's definitely like the last option offensively, but it's not a terrible last option to have either. Gives him a lob threat, gives him a pick and roll threat, and can protect the rim, like I said earlier, and he's just overall a very solid player, and being your last option is extremely, extremely nice to have. And now the new front court partner in their small forward position in DeAndre Hunter, who comes in at 6'8", makes him extremely versatile on both sides, because on the defense side of the ball, due to his size and his strength and his athleticism, his switchability is very, very nice, and he can guard basically the 1 through 3 position, even some 4s as well, due to his size and athleticism. So defensively, he is going to help them even more and get them even stronger on that side of the ball, while also giving them an efficient 20 points per game, just spreading the floor and making the floor even more spread out for guys like Donovan Mitchell and the other stars on this roster, and it's just going to make everything flow even better. Even if he has to become more of a 3-and-D guy to fit in, I think he can play that to a very good level, and even when you need him to get a bucket, say you have injuries or foul trouble or something, he can go out and get a bucket by himself when needed as well. And I think he is the perfect small forward to add on this Cleveland Cavaliers team. And even before all these trades were made, they were already an elite two-way team, as they are already currently ranked the number 1 offense in the entire NBA. And I would imagine adding a 20-point-per-game scorer as your 4th option is only going to strengthen that 1 seed spot and going to make them a better offense over time. Maybe there'll be growing pains in the start, but in the long term and by the time it gets to playoffs, I think their system's going to be running like a well-oiled machine, and that number 1 offense is probably going to be here to stay. But then their defense, which not bad by any means, was ranked number 8 before the trade deadline, but now adding a guy with the versatility, the athleticism of DeAndre Hunter, I definitely think he is going to be able to help them go from a top 10 defense to maybe even a top 5 defense or better by the time playoffs come around. And due to that top 5 on both sides of the ball in terms of efficiency, I would give them a very real chance and a very good chance of making and winning the NBA Finals this season if all things do go to plan and injuries don't crop up or anything like that. And really just overall, I think this trade makes the team pretty much complete. Like, I think their bench is still fine. I think their starting lineup is now probably the best and most well-rounded in the NBA. I think they all complement each other. I think they're going to work together very well. I think the chemistry is going to build very fast. I just think overall, this Cleveland Cavaliers team is probably the most underrated almost in NBA history. Like, I don't know a team that has a superstar power forward or a potential superstar power forward, a 2-star level guards, and a very good 5th option, and has a 4th option as good as DeAndre Hunter, on top of having a solid bench. I don't know any team that has that and has also had the record to back it up and the elite two-way just performances they've already put on throughout before the trade deadline and hasn't got that much attention. Yet here we are with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and hopefully they start getting the attention they deserve, and they probably won't get that until playoff time, unfortunately, but if they keep winning, and they can keep winning in the playoffs, and the lights don't get too bright, Mr. Jarrett Allen, I'm looking at you, then maybe, just maybe, that they will finally get the respect they deserve, and all this underrated stuff they've been doing will get the respect it also deserves. But unfortunately, guys, that's going to be it for this video. So comment below, do you agree with me? Do you think that the DeAndre Hunter trade was one of the most underrated in the entire deadline? What do you think the most underrated trade was? How far do you think they're going to go? How much do you think this is going to improve them? I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. If you'd like to point to the like button and subscribe button, it means absolute word to me, and I hope you have a blessed day, because I had a blessed day, so you need to have a blessed day. All glory to God. See you in the next video. Goodbye. Boo. Blah, blah.